She told me she wasn't ready for a relationship. Fair enough. So we just hung out. For 11 months. While she lived in my apartment. Ate my food. Took my car. Met my mom. Used my Netflix account like it had her name on it. And when I posted a vacation video jokingly calling her my not-girlfriend, she lost it. Apparently, the only label she didn't want was one that made her look like a user. I'm the kind of guy who buys 2 coffees in the morning just in case she wants one, even if she said she didn't. I used to think that made me sweet. Now I think it made me a mark. She, let's call her Zoe, had this chill girl persona, all oversized hoodies, go with the flow, and a permanent disdain for titles. We weren't together, but she stayed every night. Called me when her car broke down. Texted, we need more oat milk. I didn't question it. Not until she started acting like I'd violated some sacred pact of vagueness. Read on to see how a relationship with no label became the most expensive breakup I never had. She said it while peeling an orange on my couch, like we were discussing what to watch on Netflix, not the future of our lives. I'm not ready for commitment, Zoe said, handing me a slice like it was a peace offering. But I really like where this is going. We were 3 months in. By then, she already had a drawer in my dresser, a corner in my shower, and a favorite mug in my kitchen she called hers. No label, sure, but it looked a lot like couple dom from where I was standing. So I did what people pleasers do best, smiled and said, no pressure, no labels. That was code for, don't leave. I'll adapt. She leaned into me like I'd passed a test. Told me she'd planned a little getaway to Tulum for the 2 of us. Said she wanted to keep it fun. I said yes, of course. Because at the time, I thought fun was the same thing as love. I didn't realize I'd signed up for an emotional Airbnb. Open 24/7, no reservations required. Looking back, it wasn't a talk. It was a quiet boundary she built with velvet rope. I could invest, but not expect. Give, but not define. And I bought it, because I thought that's what flexibility looked like. I thought being low maintenance made me lovable. It's embarrassing how hard I tried to appear easygoing. When she said she hated clinginess, I started replying to texts slower. When she called relationships social constructs, I nodded like a philosophy major, even though all I wanted was to call her mine. She'd kiss me goodnight, whisper, you get me, then leave before breakfast like Cinderella in yoga pants. I was never officially her boyfriend, but somehow I was always the one doing boyfriend things. Picking her up from work, lending her my car when hers broke down, editing her resume, walking her cat when she was too anxious. In the name of non-attachment, I gave her everything except the title. I remember that night after the orange peeling declaration. I laid in bed wondering if I was overthinking it. Maybe she really was just scared of getting hurt. Maybe this was the modern way, casual, undefined, free. But then why did it feel like I was the only one paying the price for all this freedom? Because here's the thing no one tells you. When someone says, I'm not ready for a relationship, what they often mean is, I don't want one with you, but I'll still take what you give. And I gave. For 11 months. Apparently, emotional availability is fine, as long as it comes with an escape clause. It started with a single hoodie. Gray. Oversized, probably stolen from some ex before me. She left it on the back of my chair one night after staying over, and it just stayed. Next came the shampoo. Then a toothbrush in my cup. Then an entire tote bag labeled weekend stuff, which somehow never left. Within weeks, I had more of her things in my apartment than I did in my own gym locker. I never asked her to move in. She never said she was. But her stuff migrated like a slow invasion, drawer by drawer, shelf by shelf. My closet? Claimed. Fridge space? Dominated. Spotify recommendations? Completely derailed. She wasn't paying rent. She wasn't even calling it cohabitation. But when the Wi-Fi went out, she texted me from the bathroom. Can you fix your router? Your router. At some point she stopped asking if she could stay over. It was just assumed. And I let it happen because, well, what was I going to say? Hey, I know we're not officially together, but can you please stop living in my home like we are? Didn't quite roll off the tongue. Once, I did try to bring it up, cautiously. I made a joke about how her stuff was slowly annexing my space. She laughed and said, are you one of those guys who gets territorial over a sock drawer? I told her no. I lied. Because the truth was, I missed my sock drawer. I missed knowing where things were. I missed the feeling of being alone without feeling lonely. Instead, I was constantly adjusting. buying almond milk even though I hate it, leaving my own bedroom when she needed space to journal, walking on eggshells anytime I used the word we. It wasn't just the stuff. It was the entitlement. One morning, she snapped at me for using the wrong setting on the dryer, said I was ruining her leggings. Leggings I hadn't even known I owned until then. That same week, I caught her filling out a delivery form using my address as her official residence. When I asked about it, she smiled and said, "Well, I practically live here, right?" That was the first time I felt the crack, the space between what we were and what she was taking. Not sharing, not building, just taking. And still, no mention of what we were. Because if I ever used words like relationship, she'd get that faraway look in her eyes, like I'd just suggested we buy a timeshare and start naming our future kids. I didn't realize no expectations included paying rent and vibes and cuddles. It was her friend Sierra's birthday, rooftop bar, overpriced cocktails, the kind of place that charges extra for ice cubes with mint. Zoe invited me as a +1, which already felt like a promotion. For a guy with no label, I was suddenly being escorted into friend territory. We showed up together. She held my hand, introduced me to people as this one, with that cheeky grin that says I like him but don't ask questions. Then someone asked anyway, "Oh my God, are you Zoe's boyfriend?" It was Sierra's cousin, already 3 Aperol spritzes in. She said it loud enough that heads turned. I froze. Not because I didn't want to be, but because I knew Zoe didn't want me to say yes. I looked at her. She laughed. "God, no," she said, waving it off. "We're just, you know." And that was that. No clarification. Just a dissolving smirk and a pivot to the appetizer tray. Everyone moved on. I didn't. I spent the rest of the night being the not boyfriend in every conversation. People assumed. She denied. I smiled. At one point, a guy named Lucas leaned over and said, "Man, you're a good sport. I don't know how you do it." I didn't either. We left early. Well, I left early. She stayed behind to catch up with some old friends. I Ubered home alone, stared at the wall, and thought about the bill I'd paid for both of us. Because of course I did. Of course I covered the $84 tab. Of course I tipped 20% because her friend was dating the bartender. Of course I was the designated adult in an arrangement where I wasn't even allowed to use words like dating. When she came home hours later, she curled into me like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't been publicly reduced to a glorified errand boy with benefits. She kissed me goodnight and said, "Thanks for being there tonight." It meant a lot. I said, "Yeah, no problem." Because I didn't know how to say. It didn't feel like I was really there at all. I don't know what hurt more. The fact that she didn't call me her boyfriend, or the fact that I knew better than to expect she would. Apparently, I was boyfriend enough to pick up tabs, but not enough to get a tag in her Insta. One of those 10-second vertical videos everyone posts now. No filters, no captions that take a philosophy degree to decode. Just a sunny clip from Tulum. Zoe sipping a margarita in a hammock, sunglasses on, smiling at me behind the camera. I added a lighthearted caption. "When your not girlfriend lives rent-free and steals your last avocado, but looks this good doing it." It got some laughs. A few of my friends commented, tagging their own situationships. One guy said, "Bro, I felt this in my soul." It wasn't viral, but it got attention, and apparently, the wrong kind. Zoe saw it an hour later. I was folding laundry when she stormed in, holding her phone like it was evidence in a courtroom. "What is this?" she snapped. I blinked. "What's what?" "This," she repeated, shoving the phone at me. "You posted this publicly?" I told her it was a joke, that I didn't tag her, that no one would even know unless they already knew. She wasn't amused. "You're making me look like some leech," she said. "You think that's funny?" I didn't answer right away. Mostly because, yeah, I had thought it was funny. Until she said that. Now I was just confused. She accused me of shaming her. Said it was passive-aggressive and manipulative. That it made her feel used and disrespected. Used? By me? I reminded her that we'd both gone on that vacation. That she'd posted plenty of photos. Of my hotel, my rental car, my beach umbrella. Without once mentioning me. She rolled her eyes. "That's different. That's aesthetic." Right. Aesthetic. That night, she didn't stay over. Said she needed time to recenter. She took a tote bag of weekend stuff with her, but left the shampoo, the robe, and her favorite cereal in my cupboard. I guess the exit wasn't permanent. Just performative. I took the video down anyway. Not because I thought I was wrong, but because I knew this dance. If I didn't bend, she'd break something else. The next morning, I found a note on my counter. Let's not turn this into something ugly. You know I care about you. Funny thing was, that message had no return address. Like everything else between us, it floated. Undefined, unclaimed, and utterly convenient. I didn't know tagging someone in reality was such a trigger. After the video debacle, something shifted. Not dramatically, just enough that the air felt different when she walked into a room. Or didn't. She stopped staying the night. Still dropped by, though, to pick up deliveries, water her plant, grab a charger she forgot. She still had my keys. I never officially gave them to her. She just started using them one day, and I didn't ask for them back. It felt like living with a ghost that had a schedule. I'd come home from work to find the heat on, music playing, a yogurt missing. Then silence. She was already gone. One afternoon, I found her curled on my couch like nothing had happened, watching one of those slow-burn true crime docs. I asked how she was. She said, just needed to decompress. Then added, we should probably take some space. I nodded. Because what else do you say to someone who's already taken everything? Your time, your fridge, your energy, but now wants space too. She clarified that she didn't mean cutting things off, just stepping back. Said we'd been too intense. That she lost herself in this bubble. Which was wild, because I didn't even know we had a bubble. I thought we had my apartment. Over the next few weeks, the pattern became clear. She wasn't staying over. She wasn't texting back right away. She was posting vague quotes about rediscovering identity and healing solo on her stories. And yet, Amazon packages kept arriving with my address. She still used my Spotify account. I could see the Zoe's AirPods icon pop up mid-song. She even called me in the middle of the night once to ask if I had any cold medicine, the good kind. I left it outside. She didn't say thanks. I started to feel like a backup plan that lived in a two-bedroom. A few friends noticed she was less around. When I said we were taking space, they looked at me like I'd said we were on Mars. Wait, weren't you guys, like, living together? Nope. Apparently not. Not officially. Not emotionally. Not when it counted. The worst part? I missed her. Not her stuff. Not the yogurt theft or the half-wet towels, but the version of her that used to curl up next to me like I was safe. Like we meant something. But that version vanished the second I asked for definition. The moment I posted that video, I crossed some invisible line. From comfort to confrontation. From safe harbor to PR liability. Apparently, my apartment was still cozy, just not me. It was a Sunday. I was scrolling mindlessly through Instagram stories when her face popped up, tilted head, mimosa in hand, brunching with a guy I'd never seen before. They were sitting in our old spot. The cafe, she said, was too loud on weekends whenever I suggested it. She wore my old flannel. Or maybe it was just the same flannel. Hard to tell when you're not special enough to keep track of duplicates. The caption read, "Learning to love slowly." With a heart emoji. My stomach dropped in that slow, heavy way you don't notice until it settles in. I tapped through the rest of her story like it was someone else's life. Same smile. Same nonchalance. Different guy. I didn't even text her. I didn't have to. She messaged first. Hey, just a heads up, if you saw my story, don't overthink it. Overthink it. I wasn't overthinking. I was connecting dots. She didn't want a label with me, but apparently she was fine soft launching a new situationship with someone else. I replied with the only question that mattered. Are you seeing someone? She left it on read. For 12 hours. Then finally, you said you were okay with keeping things casual. Are you changing your mind now? That was her game. Flip the script. Make me feel like I broke our rules. Rules she wrote, rewrote, and discarded based on whatever version of freedom she felt like selling that week. I asked her point blank. So were you just keeping me warm while waiting for someone better? She sent a paragraph about how feelings are complicated and how she never wanted to hurt me. But she also needed to honor her intuition. Right. Intuition. Apparently, her gut told her it was fine to live in my place, eat my food, enjoy my loyalty, and then slide into someone else's brunch pic without warning. It wasn't the betrayal that stung. It was how cleanly she cut me out of her emotional narrative. As if I'd been an Airbnb host with a decent playlist and no self-respect. Later that week, I noticed she'd unfollowed me. Like I was the embarrassment in her story. I wanted to scream. Instead, I cleaned the espresso machine she'd left crusty. Again, I pulled her mug out of the cabinet, stared at it, and then placed it in a donation box. I wasn't angry. I was tired. Tired of pretending that letting someone use you is the same as being chosen. I didn't know no labels meant I was part of a product rotation. The apartment felt quieter after that brunch post. Not peaceful, just emptied of illusions. I started collecting her things. Not in a dramatic, trash bag on the lawn kind of way. Just methodical. The robe she always stole after showers? Folded, bagged. That hideous ceramic frog planter she claimed sparked joy? Bubble-wrapped. The mug, her mug, was the last to go. I didn't tell her. Didn't text. Didn't warn. I just left the box by the door and placed her spare key on top. She still had mine, technically. But something told me I wouldn't be seeing her again. Not until she needed something. And I was right. 2 days later, a knock. Zoe, standing in the doorway like the building owed her rent. She looked at the box, then at me. Seriously? That's all she said. Not even a hello. I shrugged. It was time. She stepped inside without asking, like it was still hers. I thought we agreed to take space, not burn bridges, she said. I didn't answer. Just watched her scan the room like something was missing. It was her place in it. You're being petty, she added, grabbing the box like it personally insulted her. That word, petty, used to make me spiral. I'd overcorrect, apologize, smooth things over like I'd committed a crime by having needs. Not this time. You lived here for 11 months, I said. Never paid rent. Never paid groceries. Never paid attention. You made the rules, I just finally stopped playing. She blinked, like I'd used a language she didn't understand. I told you from the beginning what I needed, she said, in that same soft tone that once melted me. Now it just sounded like static. No, I said calmly. You told me what you didn't want. You were never clear about what you did. She scoffed, muttered something about me being dramatic, and walked out. She left the box. She always did leave messes behind. I closed the door slowly, locked it for the first time in months. Then I sat down and exhaled. Not in sadness, in relief. Later that night, I got a final text. I hope you find someone who makes you feel seen. It was meant to sting. It didn't. Because I finally did see something, her. Not the fantasy. Not the cool girl. Not the one who said all the right things when it suited her. Just a person who took more than she gave and called it emotional honesty. Boundaries aren't toxic. They're overdue. I wasn't planning to post anything. But on a Sunday night, scrolling through my camera roll, I found it, the Tulum clip. The same one I took down months ago, after her freakout. She was laughing, sunlit, carefree, swirling a margarita with a straw like the queen of someone else's vacation. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Then I reposted it. This time, no jokes. No avocado line. No cheeky tone. Just one caption. POV. You housed someone for 11 months and still got ghosted like a Tinder match. I expected a few reactions. Maybe some supportive DMs. What I didn't expect was traction. It got picked up by a mid-size meme account, then stitched on TikTok by a girl saying, "Men deserve justice too." People debated in the comments. Some laughed. Some asked for backstory. One guy wrote, "She's a landlord, an emotional one." Another, "This is why we sign leases, folks." And somewhere deep in the thread, I saw his name. The brunch guy. He commented, "Wait, is this about Zoe?" I didn't reply. Didn't have to. Her face was in the video. Not tagged, but unmistakable. Her signature gold necklace, the tattoo on her wrist. He connected the dots. Fast. A few hours later, I got a message from her. 3 paragraphs. She said I violated her privacy. Said I embarrassed her. Said I weaponized perception. What she didn't say? That it was false. She tried to guilt me. Do you have any idea how hard it is for me to trust people now? I sat with that one for a while. Then I replied, "You trusted me with your cat, your Wi-Fi password, and your emotional baggage. You just didn't trust me enough to admit we were a thing. Now you're mad I finally acted like we weren't." Read. Delivered. No response. That week, she went private on Instagram. Friends of friends told me the new guy backed off, fast. Apparently, he wasn't ready for the drama. Funny. That was the exact line she used on me in the beginning. The video stayed up. I didn't gloat. I didn't follow up. I just let it sit there, a digital monument to what happens when silence gets too loud. Turns out truth in captions hits harder than passive-aggressive texts. She called me crying. It had been 2 weeks since the video took off. The momentum had slowed, but the comments lived on, Hundreds of strangers dissecting a year of my life in 15 seconds. Can we talk? She said, voice low, like she'd just stepped outside to make the call. It was the first time I'd heard her sound unsure. I asked her what she wanted. She said closure. I said, that's what the caption was for. She sniffled, then launched into a monologue about reputation, shame, and how cruel the internet can be. I let her finish. Then I asked, do you remember when I asked if we were exclusive? When I asked where we stood? When I suggested therapy instead of me being your unpaid emotional support animal? She said that wasn't fair, that I was twisting things. No, I said, I'm just finally telling them. She tried to pivot, said she missed the way we used to be, said she never felt safer with anyone. I almost laughed, because safety, to her, meant control. She felt safe when I stayed quiet, when I paid, when I took responsibility for both of our feelings. But now I was the one with the narrative. I told her she was free to tell her side, post her own version, make her own video, write her own caption. She didn't like that, because her whole image depended on being the easy one, the cool one, the chill girl who never asked for anything, while silently extracting everything. That image shattered the moment I stopped playing along. She asked if I considered taking the post down, said she was getting unwanted attention. I said, yeah, I know the feeling. Silence. You're really not going to delete it? No, I said, because unlike our relationship, this has closure. She hung up, and for the first time since she moved in unannounced, left unclarified, and ghosted unceremoniously, I felt peace. Real peace. Not the kind you fake to keep someone around. The kind that comes from finally saying what should have been said months ago, even if the audience was a million strangers and not the one person who should have listened. Later that night, I poured myself a drink, played the video one last time, watched her laugh on that hammock, the same laugh that once made me feel lucky. Now it just looked like denial with good lighting. Closure isn't a conversation, it's a content strategy. I moved on, not just emotionally, but practically. I found someone who didn't make me guess whether I was a roommate, a boyfriend, or a glorified ATM. Someone who paid rent on time and asked for a key. Someone who didn't live in the gray zone between maybe and what even are we. The new relationship came with labels. Girlfriend wasn't scary. Us wasn't confusing. The word love wasn't whispered like a secret or a threat. I still live in the same apartment, but it feels different now. Not because the furniture changed. Not because the Wi-Fi is faster. Because the person who occupies it respects the space. Mine, hers, and ours. Zoe. Last I heard, she's back on dating apps, still chasing that no pressure, no labels script. I don't blame her. That freedom is addictive, until it's not. Sometimes I see memes about free therapy disguised as boyfriends and think, I was an early adopter, a pioneer, a cautionary tale. What would you do if your non-girlfriend cost you a year of your life and still expected loyalty? Hit the comments. I'm still doing the math. Guess I was ahead of the trend.